Jeremy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So what brings you in today?
I just kind of want to talk about, I had a great weekend this weekend, and I just kind of want to share it with somebody.
Oh, good. We'll share away.
Well, I got to take my wife, a new wife,
Hmm.
uh, home to my hometown
Yeah.
for the first time this weekend, which was also an opportunity to spend time with my kids.
Well, good. You sound really excited because you got to bring your family together.
Yeah, it was really good.
Hmm.
Um, we got there, and we kind of got married off on our own
Hmm.
and kind of outside the family knowing. Um, so it was an opportunity. We were going to see my kids and also let my parents know that we got married.
Hmm.
So I was pretty nervous, but it ended up being great.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good. You sound all overjoyed because the uh, the news of sharing the news of you getting married to your family turned out better than what you thought.
Oh yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous at first. Um, we drove out to West Texas. It was a long drive. I got to drive her through and show her, where I grew up and show her little bits and pieces of my hometown, which didn't take a very long time because there's only a couple of red lights in town. So it only takes about 4 minutes to drive from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Um, which was different from her. I don't think she's ever been to a spot like that. So
Hmm.
we got there, we got to see my kids, and the kids were playing, and we told my mom and told my dad that we were married,
Hmm.
and they kind of already figured it out. They kind of knew already. They were very excited.
Hmm.
They love her. I mean, they naturally just kind of brought her in and made her part of the family, and that was very different because past relationships, um, they haven't really treated past women like that before.
Hmm.
So it was very good to see that happen, especially with my mother because my dad's, he's pretty nice to everybody, but my mom, she's not normally like that. She's takes a while to get her warmed up to anybody, and even if she does, she's still kind of standoffish. But uh, she took my wife in, and everything was great.
You sound
Um,
like you're a little relieved because your family is being warm and loving towards your new wife, and that wasn't what you expected.
no, it really isn't. I mean, they've never really just been rude to anybody, but
Mhm.
they also didn't just open up and kind of welcome them with open arms.
Mhm.
Um, then we got an opportunity to bring my kids in and talk to my kids about it, and they were very excited. They love it very much.
Mhm.
Got a chance to go out and play on the playground with the kids, and uh, just felt like a family.
Yeah.
Felt really nice. Just me and her and the kids, and we got an opportunity to go out and eat dinner, which I thought was pretty neat. She kind of got to see kind of how I grew up. She's from Dallas, so she's from a big city,
Mhm.
and my parents took us out to eat. We showed up at the cattle barn,
Mhm.
the cattle auction,
Yeah.
and you had the cattle outside, and you got the little diner up front. And we got something to eat. There was about 8 tables in there, and all the tables were full. And everybody inside the diner was up talking to each other, and she thought that was kind of funny because nobody came in together, but everybody was walking around from table to table talking. And
Mhm.
by the end of the dinner, everybody's kind of having the same conversation, which is pretty funny. It's
Mhm.
normal for me because that's how I grew up. But for her, it was different. So I'm glad she got to see
Mhm.
how I grew up because she always says that I'm country, and now she gets to see why I'm the way I am because of the environment that I grew up in.
Yeah. You sound excited because you got to share with your wife a level of intimacy that you haven't got to share with her, and exposing for more to more of you.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, she's only seen where I live now, and she's seen me in her environment, but she's never been out to my real true environment as where I grew up. I mean, I've lived a lot of different places. I've lived in Kansas and Mississippi and New Orleans, and spent a lot of my time in East Texas and the Houston area. But when she came out to Longview, she thought Longview was the country, which a lot of people say, yeah, Longview's country, but going out to West Texas was just a little bit different than I think she expected.
Mhm.
I thought it was funny, and you know, that's where I grew up. That's where I was raised. That's where I learned my values.
Mhm.
That's where my roots are, and I'm not ashamed of where I'm from. I love it. I mean, I would rather grow up where I grew up than any other place in the world.
Mhm. You sound like you have a feeling of being proud because of your upbringing and how it shaped who you are as a person.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, it's just I was raised a certain way, and so were most of the people around me where I grew up, and
Mhm.
that was all based off hard work, and you know, there was a lot of blue collar people around. And
Mhm.
there wasn't many people that were worried about status and money. It was everybody had a job, and everybody worked hard and was brought up to learn to work hard,
Mhm.
and that became part of all of our lives. And even though I didn't stay behind and stay in the oil field or stay in the cattle business or anything like that,
Mhm.
I took all the values I learned, from my dad and from watching people around me,
Mhm.
to put that into the coaching and teaching profession.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things I understand now is that hard work is, the success. It's the recipe for success.
Mhm. It
Uh,
sounds like you're pleased because the way you grew up has kind of led you to where you are right now. It's given you a good foundation for where you are now.
yeah, it has. It's gotten me a long ways, and at the same time, it's kept me, away from some things as well. Growing up the way I did in a small town with, the way people act, there, my dad and people around me, the men that I grew up around, it was always everybody was straight laced. They're going to tell you what they think.
Mhm.
They weren't up for, trying to please someone just to please them.
Mhm.
I see way too much of that nowadays, especially like in teaching and
Mhm.
business and stuff like that. People aren't afraid. I mean, people are afraid to speak their mind because they're afraid that it may not get them a promotion, or it may not keep them next to the boss. Make the boss happy with them. I don't care. I mean, I was
Mhm.
taught, my dad, if you don't want to know what he's thinking, you're going to ask him. And I'm the same way. If you ask me what I'm thinking, I'm going to tell you. And if I think that you're treating me wrong or somebody else wrong, I'm going to tell you.
Mhm.
Whether you like it or not, I'm going to tell you what I think's right and wrong. So
Mhm.
that's just part of my upbringing. I mean, you're going to know where I stand, whether you like it or not.
You sound like you're feeling kind of proud because you have good morals and values because of how you've grown up, and you wouldn't change that.
No, I wouldn't change it.
Mhm.
And my kids stay with my parents, and even though that's tough at times, the one thing that I think about that makes it a little bit better is to know that my kids are having the same upbringing and learning the same morals and principles that I did. And not that I couldn't teach them the same thing being where I am now,
Mhm.
but it's a lot harder when people around them aren't being brought up the same way.
Mhm.
I know where they're at now. Everybody's still being raised and brought up pretty much the same way I was, and that's how I want my kids to be brought up.
Sounds like you have a sense of peace because your kids are being brought up in a good environment, and even though you can't be with them, you're comfortable and you're okay with that.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm okay with it. I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's tough as a father to not have your kids with you, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I would rather them be where they're at now. If they're not with me, that's the place I would want them to be.
Mhm.
And but yeah, in a way, being here in Longview or whether I was in Mississippi or Louisiana or somewhere like that, having them being raised where I was raised, everybody knows them. Their teachers were my teachers. People in church were the same people in church when I was there. You know, everybody knows me, knows them. They're loved by the whole town. I think my wife saw that, everybody in town kind of looked out for each other. Everybody knew each other. It's a small town, but everybody was family, and everybody took care of one another. I really like that my kids are being brought up in that type of environment.
Right. It sounds like you're a little a little mixed up because you want your kids to be with you, but at the same time, since it's not the best thing for them right now, um, that you're feel comfortable that they're with your family, your parents, because they're getting the same values and upbringing that you're getting, and that's kind of made you the good person that you are now.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. Is that about right?
that's right.
Yeah. Good. Well, I want to make sure I got everything out of today's session. It sounds like you had a really great weekend because you got to introduce your wife to your family and share with your family that you actually got married, and it turned out really well for you, and you got
Yeah.
to see your kids, and it sounds like you're feeling a sense of peace about everything because everything's working out better than it has before. Like you're getting new life experiences
Mhm.
that are that are making you just feel good about life and where you're headed. And is that about right?
Yeah, that's right.
Good. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about today?
That's it.
Okay, well, good. Well, I'm glad you came in today, and I'm glad you had a great weekend, and I will see you next week.
Okay, we'll see you.
Bye.
Bye bye.